Hello everyone, this is Mike. Today we'll be making a background fader that will show you the old image fading as the new image comes in behind it. I got the idea from this website, which I did not make, but it has given me some inspiration. And when I looked up how to make something like this, I couldn't find a tutorial, so I eventually figured it out and I wanted to share it with everyone. So let's look at our folder. And what we've got so far is 3 files, JavaScript, HTML, and a CSS file, as well as a pictures folder that has 3 different images which we will be using for our background. So right now in the HTML, we've just got some standard boilerplate code, and I put 3 different images here. The images have a unique ID, but they all share the same class of BG image, and we're linking them to the pictures in our folder. One other thing we have to do up here is put in our CSS to make sure that the CSS will apply to these images. So we'll save that, and let's look at what we have so far. We have 3 images, full size, and they're one after another, but we want them to be stacked behind each other. So to do that, we'll go to our CSS, and first thing we'll do is use the star selector to select all types of elements, and we're going to remove the margin and the padding from all elements. So now that white space is gone because there's some default margin on things and padding. Alright, so let's go to our BG image class, and we're going to position these images absolutely and give it a top of 0. Now this should put them all on top of each other, so now we can't see some of them. You only see the last image in the stack. Right, and we're gonna also make sure it's only taking up the whole size of the screen, because right now it's too big. You can even see, since they're 2 different sizes, some of the image behind it. It's interesting. All right, well, let's make the height 100 view height. Okay, and we're gonna do object fit cover. So this will make the whole object fit inside here, and you'll see it when I give it the width of 100 view width. So now it's not showing the whole image, but it's showing enough of the image to cover the entire space. Since we have different size images, it won't look weird that they're different sizes because they're too big for the screen, and it's just showing a portion of them. Okay, so now we are going to add another class here that is going to be added to the pictures separately. Each time they're shown, we'll give them some no opacity, basically. So, or we'll change their opacity. We'll call this BG image show, and the regular class will be hidden, so we'll give this opacity 0. Now it should be white. Yep. And BG image show will have opacity of 1. So that means fully seeable, not opaque at all. But since we're going to be switching these 2 classes, we also need to add everything else from this class into here. Alright, and now let's open our JavaScript. So we're going to need to select all of those different images that we have, and that's why we have the IDs. So document get element by ID, BG1, and duplicate the line. The duplicate line is Control-Shift-D in Atom text. And now we have these three things, but we actually need to assign them as variables. So let bg1 equal to that. So now we'll be able to target these with a function. We're also going to have one more variable called time. And time is going to be a number in milliseconds, which is how long each of these images will stay before it cycles out. And I like 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds as a good time for slideshows. That's just like a thing I remember from a while back for making slideshows. It's a good amount of time for people to look at an image. Okay, so we're going to need a function. And we can just say it slider, or call it slider. And we're going to put some logic in here. So first of all, we're going to check if any of the images has the show class. So if bg1 dot class name equals or strictly equal to bg image show, meaning is this showing right now, and also for all of the other ones. Oh wait, my bad. We're making sure that none of them are showing, because in the beginning they start out with this class where none of them are showing. So if it's the beginning and the first time that we've loaded the page, then this will be the case. None of them will be showing. So what we'll want to do is give the bg1 image the showing class. So that should fade in the first image. So let's try that. So I think I don't remember how to make that, so I'm just gonna look at the notes real quick. It's a window on load equals alright, it's because I didn't put the JavaScript into the document here, so let's make sure we put our script tag. Type equals JavaScript. Source equals this folder fader.js. Now, and the script tag. Slider is not defined. Maybe I have to write it like there we go. Okay. So now when the window loads, it's applying that class to that first image, but it's not fading in even though it's changing the opacity. So what we must do is give these a transition property that affects the opacity. Something else, ease in out. Oh, the time for the transition, like a little over 1 second. And there's one other thing here that I need to look at the notes for. Oh, the amount of time before the transition begins is going to be 0 seconds. And let's give that also to this one. So when the class is removed, it will also transition. Oh, you have to write milliseconds here. All right, beautiful. It's fading in. So now all we gotta do is get back here and make the rest of our logic. So now if bg1.class name is bgshow, then we're going to take its class back to the original. And we're going to give bg2 the visible class. But we have to make it an else statement, or else it will immediately do this and then immediately change it, and what would happen then is you would just see the second image. So that's what we're going to do. We'll put it to else. So what we want to also make sure is happening is that this is being called repetitively or recursively. So what we can do is set a timeout for this function, which I think is with a capital O, might be a lowercase o. And the first thing we put in set timeout is what function we want to run, so slider. And then the second is how much time until this function will execute, which is our time variable that we previously declared up top. And let's see if that works. It works. So now we need to just add in that final image. So let's do one more else. If bg2.class name equals bg image show, then we will take that away and put it back to its original class. And then we'll give the third image the show class, which I think we'll also need to bring it back to the original one. So if bg3.className strictly equal, then we'll take it away. And add to the first one. Now this should work, and just to test it, we're going to make the time shorter. Let's make it 2 seconds so we can see if it's working. It seems to be working. So this can be your image. There's a right-click image thing going on here. So since it's supposed to be your background image, you don't really want people to right-click on it like it's a picture. So you can put pointer events none in there, and it should remove, no? Maybe that doesn't, maybe that removes the ability to select it. All right, so it's this right here, document.onContextMenu equals new function return false. And that will disable the right click if that's something you want to do. And this is pretty much it. Let's put the timer back to 5 seconds. And this is your fading image background. Now, since the position is absolute here, then you can put other things on top of it. And if you want to make sure things are going on top of it, you're going to put the z index to -1. Now let's see what happens if we want to put, say, like a div up here. So you can see that these are appearing on top of the image just like it is background. Even though it's not a background property technically, it's acting like a background, and you can style those and make them into a menu. There you go. There's a menu over the background, and this is what you can use to make a sliding or fading background. I hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.